Greetings my fellow gorehounds and welcome back to another Blood Splattered vlog. So my 2016 catch-up took a back seat this last week because I actually contracted a stomach flu and was basically bedridden for the better part of 3 days. And while this gave me very little time to set up cameras and shoot stuff, it did give me a lot of time to catch up on some stuff on Netflix that I really wanted to see. And for at least one of those days, I ended up binge watching the entirety of Trollhunters, the brand new Netflix show by Guillermo del Toro, based on a book or comic book, I'm not sure which, that he did with a colleague of his a few years back. And basically, for those of you who don't know, Trollhunters is a show about this kid who gets this amulet and essentially becomes the Trollhunter, this mythological being as bestowed by Merlin, who's essentially supposed to protect the barrier between the troll world and the human world, and prevent humans from destroying trolls and trolls from destroying humans, and prevent the evil trolls from destroying everyone in between. And I gotta say, this is a really fucking good show, and I highly recommend it. It's everything you could possibly want from a kid's show. It's got action, it's got excitement, it's got romance, it's got laughs, it's got scares, it's got awesome monsters, both good and bad. It's got heroics, it's got a great team of characters, and it's got some pretty good life lessons along the way, though not in the way a lot of kids shows do it, where it's like insulting to your intelligence, because this show, unlike a lot of children's entertainment, treats its audience, both kids and adult, with a certain level of respect they deserve. It's kind of like Gravity Falls in that way. It's a legitimately good kids show with legitimately good characters and a really good reoccurring story. And also like Gravity Falls, it's also a great mix of supernatural dark fantasy and just awesome horror elements. Like, this is essentially a show about a monster hunter who fights monsters alongside monsters, and there is even a character named Arg. That's right, there is a monster in this movie who is a good guy who is named after the sound monsters make. That is fucking awesome. But yeah, I really like this show. I found myself really invested in the main character Jim and his best friend Toby/Tobias, who is hands down my favorite character. I've always loved like the 80s kids movie stereotype of the funny fat friend, the chunk if you will. There's just something about that archetype that has always appealed to me. I don't know, maybe there's something obvious about me that makes that appealing. But yeah, I really liked that character, and I really liked the love interest Claire, who ends up joining them along the way and becoming a troll hunter herself. She's pretty badass. And of course, I love all the fucking monsters in this show. There is not a single monster in the show that did not have me smiling from ear to ear. And I especially love how the show mixed mythologies, but did it in a way that felt seamless. Like in this show, there's all kinds of monsters, but they're all at their base trolls, which is part of this show's mythology. All monsters are trolls. But even so, the monsters still kind of act like their real-world mythology counterparts. Like, they're still golems, they're summoned by trolls instead of Jewish people, but they're still essentially made up of clay, and they still have a heart at their center that is their one weakness. And as a mythological junkie, I was loving seeing what pieces they were putting together into this awesome jigsaw puzzle of a show, because every time they called upon something and I'm like, oh shit, is that a... It turned out, yes, that's exactly what it was. Like, I couldn't believe they worked changelings into this show and made it fucking work and still make it, you know, very much kosher with, you know, changelings in mythology. In fact, one of my favorite characters on the show, not Enrique, is a changeling, but I'm not gonna go too much into him until I get to the spoilers, because that character is 100% a spoiler. But yeah, if you want an awesome show that you can show your nephews or your kids, or hey, if you're a kid at heart and you just kind of love these kind of heroic kid shows, then check out Trollhunters. It is really fucking good. It is really well written, and it will not insult you the way so many kid shows do today. And with that all said, let us move on to the spoilers. Alright, needless to say, this is a 26 episode show, and while each episode is about 22 minutes to half an hour long, it would still take me way too long to go through it plot point by plot point, episode by episode. So I'm just gonna talk vaguely about the overall plot and about certain aspects of it that I really fucking loved and are really spoilery. So basically, the show opens up with two trolls battling under a bridge, and yes, trolls live under bridges in this in its own way, and you will find out when you watch the show exactly how that works. And one troll sacrifices himself to the sun so that the other troll won't get this amulet. And it turns out the troll that sacrificed himself was a troll hunter, and that the other troll was one of the evil trolls. In fact, it's the son of the evil mastermind of the whole show. And the next day, this kid Jim and his fat friend Toby end up stumbling across the amulet, which ends up calling to Jim. And basically, the amulet ends up turning him into this knight in shining armor to battle all these evil trolls. He ends up befriending these two trolls, Blinky and Arg, who end up becoming his trainers for the rest of the show. And so basically, he ends up facing this destiny that is insurmountable. And one of the things that they establish with Jim is that he takes on way too many tasks at once and often overworks himself. He tries way too hard to do everything himself. He's trying to do school, he's trying to hit on this girl, he's trying to take care of his mom, he's trying to do all these responsibilities, and he really could do to like actually delineate it to some other people. Like, his mom should really be taking care of herself, he should really be focusing on his own studies, and to be honest, his love interest really could do to actually take some strides herself, because he can't do everything in their relationship. She's got to do something. And as the show goes on, his arc is essentially learning to accept the help of other people and accept this team, which is what ends up separating him from other troll hunters, because previous troll hunters only fought alone. In fact, they were told to by the old troll hunters. But of course, this always led to every troll hunter dying viciously in battle. And what Jim figures out is that it's not about fighting alone, it's about having a team of people who care about each other fighting alongside one another. In fact, you could say there's a whole lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in this show now that I think about it. A little bit of that high school is hell mentality. But some of the more spoilery aspects that I really liked as the show went on was like, at one point his love interest Claire ends up introducing her brother, her little brother, which is this baby kid named Enrique. And at this point of the show, we learn about these things called changelings, which in this show's lore are essentially half-trolls. And these half-trolls can turn into humans at will. But every human appearance they have has a counterpoint in the real world. And if anything happens to that counterpoint, then that troll themselves will die. So when a changeling shows up who looks exactly like Enrique, they end up kidnapping Enrique and bringing him to the Dark Realm, where he'll live in eternal sleep amongst the goblins who will take care of him so that not Enrique will be safe. And this essentially spurs the second half of the show in which they're trying to get into the Dark Realm to save Enrique. But this also introduces one of my favorite characters of the show, not Enrique, who is this cockney-spewing baby troll thing who really likes to party, and at one point he does throw a massive kegger with trolls and monsters, and that is fucking glorious. But Not Enrique also kind of speaks to the heart of the show, because over the course of the show he starts off as this bad guy with no allegiances, constantly turning on the bad guys and constantly turning on the heroes left and right and doing whatever best serves him. But as the show goes on, he actually grows to actually care for Claire as if she were his actual sister. And that honestly led to some of the most heart-wrenching moments of the show for me, like moments where I actually started to tear up while watching it. And yeah, that's right, the horror guru sat down and watched this kid's show on Netflix and cried a couple times. Granted, I was sick at the time, so maybe I was a little emotionally vulnerable, but that's really not an excuse. Like, I fucking teared up watching Trollhunter because it was really fucking good, and there ain't no shame in that. Another thing I really like about this show is it has some really fucking good villains. Like, one of the main reoccurring villains is this one character named Strickler, who is essentially their history teacher, but also secretly a changeling. And Strickler is another character who gains more humanity as the story goes on, but starts off as a conniving villain who you can't quite tell where his loyalties lie. Because on the surface, he's working for this big bad, the guy in the dark world who wants out. But as the show goes on, it becomes clear that he has his own intentions of world domination. And Strickler's a really great villain. He's one of those villains who he's not physically powerful, so he has to think his way around situations, and some of his plans really don't work out, but a lot of them are really actually quite clever. But hands down, the best villain in this entire show is this guy introduced in the second half. He's this Aztecian mummy troll amalgamation thing who uses this variation on like voodoo and South American magics and quite literally controls the shadows themselves. I am of course talking about the character Anger Rot, who is just a magnificent, brilliant villain, and holy shit, it made the second half of this show like the best part of this show hands down. Anger is the kind of villain that most shows wish they had. He's intimidating, he's scary, he's fucking ruthless, and he has like a million schemes going on at once and a million backup plans, and they're all kind of brilliant in their own right. Just when I thought I had figured out what Anger's game is, he actually ends up revealing that it's something else, and that happened continuously throughout the show, and I really liked that. And on a sad note, it is one of the last things that Anton Yelchin actually ever worked on, and he provides the voice for the main character Jim. And famously, Guillermo del Toro refused to replace any of his lines with a replacement actor for this first season. So basically what you have here is this raw performance of Jim that was done by Anton Yelchin before he passed. It's fucking perfect. Like, if you did not know that Anton Yelchin passed before the completion of this show, you would have no idea, because his performance in this is fantastic. I kind of lament the fact that if they do a second season, they're gonna have to replace him with someone, and I don't know who, but hopefully they'll find someone. Anyway, yeah, Trollhunters. If you've seen the show and you really liked like the show, like, comment below with your favorite parts of it and your favorite characters, because I'm really interested in hearing what you all have to say. And if you haven't seen the show, then check it out for yourself, and be sure to leave a comment below when you do, and let me know what you think. And with that all said, my fellow Gorehounds, like usual, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all later.